And that's when they called me to left. Thursday night. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. This is a meeting of the Rules and Government Committee of the Los Angeles City Council. We are here on July 8th, 2008. We have a full committee, Mr. Zine and Mr. Weiss. Oh, I'm sorry, it's the 9th. I was reading the report from the 8th, from the good CLA. So it is the 9th. Thank you, Mr. Zine. If we can take general public comment, are there any cards for general public comment? Thank you very much. Arnold Sachs, would like to come forward? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Arnold Sachs. I would like to address today's City Council meeting and the fiasco that occurred with item number 4 that was under the hearings, public hearings, on a consent calendar. The fact of the matter is that it was listed as a public hearing item. The fact is, City Council made a mistake by listing it there.
The city clerk, just to address that real quick and I'll hold your time, the city clerk said that they had put that in the wrong place, and we had a public hearing for sure, so that was established, and we had that the day before, and that was an error, and I know the people that were there the day before, including yourself, had the opportunity to speak.
Well, I wasn't here the day before, but
okay, I'm sorry.
The point I'm trying to make, though, is nevertheless, it is what it was. It's listed there. That's the official
you're
agenda.
Correct, Mr. Sachs, and I had the same thought.
And I would point out that several months ago, in the federal government, there was an item with, I don't remember if it was the House of Representatives or the Senate passed a bill, and there was a big article on the front page how they embarrassed themselves because there was some language in the bill, and then they were going to go on a break, that they had to call everybody back because they had to, I don't remember the minutia about it, but they called everybody back to redo the bill so that they could resubmit it because they had made a mistake in the language of the bill. So they didn't say timeout, we're still going to go, we're not going to worry about this. The fact of the matter is, it was under public comment. Public comment should have been allowed. It's a definite violation of the Brown Act.
Okay, well, thank you for that opinion. We consulted the city attorney. To be duplicative of 2 hearings would have been violative of that, and the city clerk was very clear about that. We apologize. I had the same instinct that it shouldn't have been put on a second time, but there was no violation of that, and we did, in fact. If we hadn't had the public hearing, you would be right, but we did have the public hearing. So we thank you very much for that perspective and that opinion.
I'm still going to say that that's the official document. Number 2, during the public commentary of today's meeting, there were several speakers out in the valley who spoke about item number 6 during their public comment. Item 6 was an item held for public hearing. They had a public hearing.
Correct. Why don't we hold your time? The city attorney, who I consulted on the same point, Mr. Sachs, will also address that. Mr. City Attorney?
I'll address that. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Because I was aware that there was going to be an amendment to that and that the public hearing was going to be reopened anyways, that I advised the council president at the time to allow them to proceed because they would be allowed to speak on the item when it was reopened anyways. And I made a record at the end of item number 6, when it was before the council, that they did speak on that during public comment.
I recognize that. My point, though, is how do you know? You have rules for decorum, you have rules for this, rules for that. The fact of the matter is people spoke during their public comment. No mention was made during the time that they were speaking that we are going to allow them to continue because we know that there's an amendment and they're going to be allowed to speak. When the rules are, if the item is held for has a hearing, then during your public comment, you're not really allowed to talk about those items.
Thank you,
So
Mr.
it's a
Sachs.
general or specific general? I don't
Appreciate the
know.
comments.
Thank you for your time, your answers, and your attention.
Thank you. We try our best. Sometimes there are human beings in government, but we appreciate your comments. If we will take up the items 8 and 9, if the members of the committee have no problems with that, I would receive and file and consent both of those items.
Which ones?
8 and 9.
Okay.
Okay. And number 6, if there's no objection, we continue that 1 month as well. No objection? All right. So ordered. We can take up the first item, please.
Item number 1 is a city clerk and city attorney reports and draft ordinance relative to amendments to the Los Angeles City Election Code to clarify language, codify existing practice, reflect recent court decisions, and make technical corrections and improvements.
Okay. Do you have any cards on item 1? Okay. Open and close the public hearing on that, and if we can hear the report, please.
Okay. Karen Calfine, the interim city clerk, and this is Harit Trivedi from the city attorney's office. Before you are 2 reports, a city clerk report and a city attorney report with a draft ordinance, and these address amendments to the city's election code. The election code was last revised in 2006, and that was a fairly comprehensive revision to the code. So what's before you today are recommendations that we're making for amendments to the current code. They're primarily, as was stated, to clarify potentially confusing language and procedures, to codify existing practice, to reflect some recent court decisions, and address other issues which have come up since the code was last amended. One additional section is revised to provide some flexibility and to allow for cost-saving measures, which were discussed and approved as part of the proposed budget for the current fiscal year. So this would basically make the changes to reflect those budgetary decisions. Election code changes become operative 6 months after the approval of the code amendments. So what we're asking for is, since we'd like to have these in effect for the March primary, then the council would need to take action in the early part of August in order for that to be effective by then. And depending on how you'd like to proceed, it can either go through in more detail, or if you have any questions, we can answer
I've read
those.
through. Colleagues, do you have questions on any of the changes that were proposed by the clerk? None from Mr. Weiss, Mr. Zine? Okay. I would move the city clerk and city attorney reports and draft ordinance forward, adopt the CLA, the clerk report, and move those documents forward without objection. Okay. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
What's the closest we've come to a tie? Do you know? What's the closest we've ever come to a tie? Or have you ever had any ties, do you know?
I don't think we've gotten that close. Yeah.
Yours was pretty close. One of the closest. I don't think it's the closest.
Would this new ordinance change your result?
I don't know. I don't think it would. Number 2, please.
Item 2 is the CLA report relative to the city's position on AB 1985 that would, among other things, repeal current laws regarding sidewalk repairs and instead hold the owner of the property on which a sidewalk is located liable for all repairs and maintenance of the sidewalk pursuant to resolution. Rosendahl LaBonge, Rosalind Carter Phillips with the CLA is here.
Do we have any cards on this? Okay, we'll close that public hearing as well. And if we could hear the report.
Yes, Mr. President, members of the committee, I'm Rosalind Carter Phillips with the CLA. We're recommending in the report before you the adoption of a resolution to oppose AB 1985 Strickland because it would make the responsibility of a city, a county, or county to repair and maintain sidewalks. In essence, AB 1985 would repeal existing law that currently requires the owner of a property to maintain and repair the sidewalks and instead place that burden on the city. We believe that it would be a major financial burden to the city should this bill become law. And here with me is Ron Olive, the Assistant Director of the Bureau of Street Services, to talk specifically regarding what that impact would be. This bill failed passage in the Assembly Committee on Local Government on April 9th, 2008. And it's also opposed by the League of California Cities, County of San Bernardino, the City of Lakewood, and others. At this time, I would like to ask Ron Olive to provide to the committee the specifics regarding the financial impact of this bill should it become law.
Okay, Mr. Olive, why don't you, nice to have you in committee. Why don't you give us a very brief one, since it looks like it's dead, at least for now.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, council members. Ron Olive, Assistant Director of the Bureau of Street Services. Yes, a brief history. The California States and Highways Act, the 1911 Act, is pretty much codified within LA Municipal Code 62.104. There is one exception that the city in 1973 elected to become financially responsible for any repairs that were needed on sidewalks, curbs, driveways that were caused by tree root damage. So pretty much hasn't changed since today, so the city is still responsible financially for any of those types of sidewalk repairs. What this would do, this bill, it would really take away the city's flexibility to repeal that amendment to the ordinance, if you will, and be able to go back to the days where we can cite adjacent property owners and require them to fix the sidewalks, or implement a point-of-sale program, which we've been talking about in Public Works Committee, or initiate a bond of some kind, or a special tax or assessment district. So currently, we're looking at a backlog of approximately 4,600 miles of sidewalk and disrepair at a cost of about $1.2 billion, out of about 10,750 miles of sidewalk citywide. And currently in the budget this year, there's funding for repair of 26 miles of sidewalk and another 900 locations of 50/50 or cost-shared sidewalk repair with property owners, about another 15 or 20 miles. So that's pretty much what we're looking at, is 40 miles of sidewalk repair out of 4,600 miles of disrepair.
Okay.
But again, we have a number of options on the table we're exploring with the Public Works Committee for a comprehensive sidewalk repair program, and this bill would pretty much take away our options.
Okay. All right. Any questions from the committee members? No. Okay. With that, we'll go ahead and move the recommendation, the CLA report, to oppose. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's hold number 3 and 4. I know Mr. Rosendahl has come in to speak on that as well. And if we can speak on number 7, please, next.
Item number 7 is the CLA report relative to the city's position on HR 5950, which would require the Department of Homeland Security to establish mandatory standards for basic health care in all immigration detention centers and report detainee deaths within 48 hours. Alexia Spall with the CLA's office is making her Rules and Government debut today.
All right. Congratulations. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon. As
Good
I said,
afternoon.
Alexa Daniels with the CLA. The resolution before you is recommending city support for HR 5950, the Detainee Basic Medical Care Act of 2008. The bill is currently before the House Judiciary Committee. The CLA is recommending adoption of that resolution. HR 5950 would require the Department of Homeland Security to establish mandatory standards for basic health care for all immigration detention centers and report on detainee deaths within 48 hours to the offices of the DHS Inspector General and the Department of Justice. There's a companion bill in the Senate as well, S3005. It was introduced in early May and is in the Senate Judiciary Committee. There's no further action pending on either bill as of right now.
Okay.
The House did hold a hearing in the Subcommittee on Immigration relative to problems with immigration detainee medical care. And among the representatives giving testimony, there were representatives from Immigration and Customs, Immigrant Health Services, former detainees, and detainee advocates. I can give you some more information on the bill if you'd like.
Why don't we hold on that? I appreciate that the report, and I know the bill, colleagues, was drafted in response to, there's a well-publicized elderly Haitian pastor who died in custody. He was denied his medication. He began violently vomiting and was accused of faking it, and was finally sent to a hospital but wasn't attended to for over 24 hours, resulted in his passing. I think that we should, and I know Mr. Zine has been a great voice for cities on immigration issues, but I think it would be a very strong message from the city that has among the most immigrants in the world to take a position for this, so I'd recommend approval. Second. No? Okay. Not objection? Thank you.
Sure.
Congratulations. Look forward to seeing you back. Mr. Rosendahl, come on forward. We held items 3 and 4, and we are joined by Councilmember Rosendahl, who I understand has stepped out of Transportation Committee to be here to testify, so the microphone is all yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and members of the committee. Items 3 and 4 basically say we have to raise taxes and do a sales tax to get our transportation infrastructure in place. You can see on motion 3, I'm there, and you see me on motion 4. So you want to know, where do I really stand?
At 3/4, right?
I stand at 1 penny. I truly believe, and I've talked to Sacramento, that they need to amend the state law that says $8.75 as the cap, and they need to amend it to go up to 9 1/4. And the reason we need to do this is 1 penny means $2 billion a year times 30 years is $60 billion, because you just double what they said a half a cent would be. I went to the MTA board meeting last week, and everybody was there, from the bus riders to the GO line, to the Expo line, to the Green line, to the subway to the C, to the Crenshaw line, and just general feelings about what we need to do in mass transit and what we need to do to get people out of the one-person car. And every absolute one of these projects has merit. Unfortunately, our congressional delegation and its ability to deliver the bacon in Washington is not that great. It hasn't been that great. We donate $50 billion more to Washington every year than we get back, and has been going on for many years through many administrations and so on and so forth. Hopefully that will change and the new president and Congress with a stronger delegation that realizes what I realize, is that most politics have nothing to do with ideology. They have to do with meat and potatoes and block and tackling and basic infrastructure needs that don't have an ideological bent. Saying that, I feel that we need to go to a penny so that all these projects can happen simultaneously. Mr. Chair, if we don't start this stuff, I'll be long dead before these dreams come true, and I want action, and I want it now. A penny would be enough money to get the Expo line to the beach, and the Green Line, which has been sitting fallow since 1994, a mile and a half from LAX, that needs to be everybody's plug into that airport. It needs to go down to the South Bay and up into Santa Monica. No north-south relief pattern exists at all in anybody's dreams, except for the ones that I've been proposing, because my district is gridlocked north, south, east, west from many different directions. I can't talk about the past and the failed leadership that didn't put the Expo line when they should have, or the subway to the sea when they didn't, because that's spilled milk. We're only dealing with today and tomorrow. For tomorrow to really be an effective tomorrow, we need to go a penny. We need to tell Sacramento, stop playing politics, stop the fear of what taxes mean, get people to realize it, because I know the public realizes this. They tell me everywhere I go, Rosendahl, we got to have this mass transit, we got to have it now. When I look at the bus union, I totally believe in bus-only lanes too, which I'm pushing on Wilshire Boulevard, which I think will be very effective. We have federal money coming our way for that. We'll be able to do that over the next 3 to 4 years. But all these projects are so serious to the quality of life and to the economic engine of this nation in Southern California, which is the breadbasket, in my opinion, of the whole country, with the good services out of the port of 43% and going up, and with all of the incredible mosaic of the earth that live here, and the 25 million of us from Santa Barbara to San Diego. The time to act is now. I will accept a half a cent if that's all we can get, but frankly, if there's enough political leadership to say, a penny for your thoughts, folks, 1 penny. And then the most important thing we need to do is make it a sacred penny that nobody, I don't care if it's a governor or president or some big shot anywhere else in politics, diverts that money for other general budget purposes. It should be a sacred cow dedicated to transportation infrastructure, period, and people should be told that, informed that, educated that, and they will vote yes if they know there's no politics with this, but infrastructure that is so critical for our region. I wanted to make sure I went on the record and said that, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Very well put, Mr. Rosendahl. Any questions for Mr. Rosendahl? We're here, please. Okay. Thank you very much, and we appreciate you making time to come to committee. We can go to public comment at this time, then we'll bring staff forward. Arnold Sachs is our first speaker on item number 3, and we'll give you 4 minutes if you want to speak 4 as well. We've got both items together.
Good afternoon again. Arnold Sachs. And as I spoke about last week when you had an appointee to the Transportation Commission, what do we support? Do we support the subway to the sea? Do we support the red line? Do we support the purple line? Do we support the Mid-Wilshire corridor? Do we support the Mid-City Exposition corridor? What we need first is we need some definition of what we're getting. All too often, as is shown with the gold line, the Pasadena gold line, 1 becomes 3, everything gets funded. You had the Pasadena Gold Line Construction Authority, you had the Gold Line Construction Authority, you had the Foothill Construction Authority. The Pasadena Gold Line Construction Authority covered the same distance. According to the County Board of Supervisors, the other 2 construction authorities were voted for. Who voted for them? The point being, nobody took any action to say, hey, wait a minute. We're covering the same distance. What's going on? Isn't that a waste of public funding? Wouldn't want to go there. So define for the public what we're going to get. I appreciate Councilman Rosendahl talking about the Green Line. When we had Mayor Hahn was elected. In his first couple of months, one of his projects was to put a third rail car on the Green Line. And it's a political thing. There's 4 small cars or 2 large ones. So is it a third large car, or do we get 5 and 6? 6 years have passed, still no third car. Give the public something to show. This is Metro paper. If I was making it up, you could say, hey, this guy's a knucklehead. But this is Metro. This is defining the West Side Corridor. It says, the Exposition Light Rail Transit Project currently under construction was planned for the southern portion of the west side, with the Wilshire Bus Rapid Transit slated to serve the area's northern portion. The study area will consist of the Metro Rail, Hollywood, Highland, and Wilshire Western stations to the Pacific Ocean. The northern boundary follows the base of the Santa Monica Mountains. The southern boundary follows Pico Boulevard. So you have 2 northern boundaries and you have 2 southern boundaries. What's the definition of the Wilshire corridor? Front page says Expo and Wilshire. Back page says Santa Monica Mountains and Pico. Please define for the public what we're going to get for our money. Where's the money going? You can be sure they've already spent $6 million on the West Side Wilshire corridor. They spent money over $4 million on a downtown connector. The talk is the downtown connector will connect the rail lines with Union Station. But the maps show the rail line going to the Gold Line East Side Extension. The benefit is for the Metrolink riders. They won't have to go all the way through Union Station, down the stairs to the Red Line. All they'll have to do is jump up one flight of stairs, get on the train, take a Gold Line to one station, Metro Mid-City Connector. There's more stops in the Mid-City Connector than there are in the Red Line. Tell the public, explain to the public. Everybody says they need money. There's no doubt about it. When the Red Line, when they drilled in Fairfax area, why were they drilling in Fairfax when Bradley's dream was to go down Wilshire Boulevard? Who stopped them? One other point is,
I'm sorry.
not to discuss the past.
4 minutes.
The problem is,
Your time is up, sir.
the past is sitting on the County Board of Supervisors.
Thank you. Jessica Wethington-McLean is our next speaker from Council District 14. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. Council members, my name is Jessica Wethington-McLean. I'm here representing Council Member Jose Huizar. I believe you have a letter from the council member regarding number 3. This is a letter from the council member requesting that in addition to the projects called out in Mr. Rosenthal's resolution for number 3, that we add the downtown Los Angeles streetcar to that list. Councilmember Rosendahl has indicated his support of that as well, and we're here to request that the committee respectfully consider that. The reasons that the council member feels this is important are spelled out in his letter, and I won't read to you, but I will kind of highlight a few of the more important points, which is that a downtown streetcar line might seem rather local, but its effect is regional. One of the projects that will likely be funded by the sales tax measure is the regional connector. Imagine being able to go from Pasadena to the middle of the city using one line, crossing through downtown, 85 trips an hour, 85,000 people a day, 45 trips an hour, excuse me. All of those people can get off in our urban core, connect and circulate by using the streetcar. We anticipate the streetcar will actually increase the ridership of the regional connector, thereby increasing the ridership of all of the other regional and local transportation systems that we have as well. We've seen this effect in other cities, Seattle, Portland, Tacoma, Denver, where ridership among all forms of transit has increased, and Tacoma almost quadrupled when they put in a streetcar line. One thing the council member wanted me to express as well is that we do not anticipate going for any kind of federal funding that will in any way affect the city's priority projects. The regional connector, the subway to the sea, those are all very large, big-scale rail projects. Streetcar lines go for FTA small starts money that large-scale rail projects do not qualify and could not get. So this is an untapped source for us, and we see that adding this to the sales tax measure makes it a stronger package and allows us to go for a better circulation system in our urban core.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the letter as well. Curtis Gibbs is our next speaker in the CRA.
Good afternoon. Curtis Gibbs, Community Redevelopment Agency, City of Los Angeles, Downtown Region. I'm here to actually speak on behalf of support of CD14's prior comments relative to the Downtown Los Angeles Streetcar Project. CRA has been working on the downtown streetcar for a number of years, working with all the key downtown stakeholders, the LA Conservancy, Central City Association, CD9, CD14, and in fact, entire City Council, as we've come through at various occasions to get authorization to work on our feasibility studies. The Los Angeles downtown streetcar actually represents a project through the leadership of Congresswoman Lucille Roybal Allard, who first secured a $100,000 earmark, which was spent to prepare the original feasibility study that's been...
Let me just pause you there. That was an earmark. Those evil things that we hear are only bad?
Yes.
Is an example for everybody of how good they can be.
So, which was done and completed a couple years ago, and then Congresswoman, recognizing the progress that we've made on the project so far, in the last appropriations bill, she secured a $98,000 earmark for alternatives analysis. What this represents is actually the first step on being able to go compete for federal small starts funds. Federal small starts funds, the ability to secure possibly 40 to 40 million, 50 million, approximately like half the cost of a project like this. And so, so that was really a great step taken by our local congressional representative, who actually sits on the Appropriations Committee. The project so far has galvanized a number of the downtown stakeholders. We recently had a national streetcar workshop, of which we had well over 250 people attend. It was put together by Reconnected America. That's one of the foremost organizations, demonstrating how, as you increase in density, the streetcar systems are a very, very important circulator system that helps bring people and fill the housing projects that are being brought on up, and then those that are actually in the pipeline to be built now. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Ben Galambe from Council District 2, Chair of our Transportation Committee. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Was everything okay with public comment for you this morning?
Yeah,
Okay, so
it was fine. I have no complaints at all.
Okay,
So,
just checking.
Council President Garcetti, council members, I'm here to read a brief letter from Councilwoman Gruhl regarding item 3, in support of item 3. Today, your committee is considering several items related to the feasibility of placing a new sales tax for transportation on the November 2008 ballot. The shortcomings of our transportation system are undeniable. Our economy is losing approximately $12 billion a year, and Angelenos are wasting nearly 100 hours a year due to traffic congestion. Our roads are in disrepair, our infrastructure needs maintenance and massive updating. Yet our current funding mechanisms are failing and cannot sufficiently address the needs of today or tomorrow. While I am reluctant to increase taxes, the need for investment in our transportation system is clear. Therefore, I support the addition of a 0.5% sales tax to the November 2008 ballot. Our region is severely choked by gridlock, and we cannot wait for relief from the state and federal government. The sales tax will allow immediate relief and greater local control of transportation funding. A reliable, clean, and efficient transportation system is essential for the economic health of our region, as well as the health of our citizens. Our population increases are projected for the region. We cannot afford to wait to make these necessary investments. Sincerely, Councilwoman Wendy Gruhl.
Thank you. And just a question for you, Ben. In terms of some of the specifics that have been outlined in the original motion, that Mr. Huizar and stuff, I assume when these come forward, there's a lot of priority projects that the Transportation Committee has been on the record for, and these obviously aren't mutually exclusive ones. The list, we go one of two ways. We could either take off the specifics, or we can just add them on and see what gets added on in council. But do you know if the chairwoman has a preference one way or the other?
I do not.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll play by ear, and we'll see in council. Okay. Thank you. Our last speaker is Patricia Bruno. Good to see you back.
Hi.
How are you?
Hi. Hi, Patricia Bruno with the LA Metro. I just wanted to make some brief remarks and thank the city for supporting our efforts to try to get a half-cent sales tax on the ballot. Our board is currently looking at putting together an expenditure plan, and we'll adopt an expenditure plan on their July 24th meeting. In terms of the legislative process, we are going to the Appropriations Committee, Senate Appropriations Committee, hopefully on August 4th. We are running into some stumbling blocks. There are some hard politics happening right now in Sacramento, and so the viability of this half-cent sales tax is in question. So I would encourage everyone who is in favor of the half-cent sales tax to contact your legislators and advocate in support of the projects. I understand that the projects on your list that I saw on the motion are part of the expenditure plan, if not most of them, if not all of them.
Is it downtown trolley?
No, not the downtown trolley, no.
Okay.
But like the regional connector, the West Side Extension, Crenshaw, the Green Line, that's also in the expenditure plan. So I would just strongly encourage all the electeds locally who really want to make this sales tax happen to contact their legislators, because there's a lot of politicking going on right now. And
Main issue, the conflict with the proposed statewide sales tax?
no, this is local politics. This is the other regions of the county want to leverage,
Right.
Their area, whatever. So, just encourage the city to advocate on behalf of their projects and to, advocate in favor of the sales tax moving forward. Because I think everyone is well aware that we're projecting about $40 billion to come in over the period of 30 years, and so we're not going to get that kind of money from anywhere
Right.
in the near future. So,
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. I'll close public comment on this. If we can, at the CLA.
Alex Warner with the CLA's office is here for a report.
All right.
Thank you. I'll just clarify some of the specifics that were not mentioned. If approved on the November 2008 ballot, the proposed half-cent sales tax would finance a variety of existing and new projects whose construction would generate over $32 billion in local economic activity and create employment equivalent to 210,000 full-time, year-long jobs spread over a 30-year period. However, the tax measure would bring the cumulative...
Wait, so it's 210,000 jobs each year? Or
Oh, not each year, just
in a
spread,
30 year, the
just
county's
distributed amongst the 30 years. The tax measure would bring the cumulative county tax rate to 8.75%. If a 1 cent tax rate were approved, it would fill the state-imposed cap, which would prohibit the county the flexibility to impose additional taxes to fund for emergency preparation services such as earthquake services. Thus, the office recommends that the council support legislation to increase the existing tax cap to provide future flexibility so that if voters so choose, they can approve additional transportation sales taxes.
Okay. All right. If there's no objection on the list that was put before us, I'd like to attach Mr. Weezar's downtown Los Angeles streetcar to the list of projects as well. That may be further amended in council as other people have other projects as well, but I think we should articulate as many projects as are important to the city council members. Questions or comments from the committee? Mr. Zion?
Just a couple of comments. The governor's 1 cent sales tax or selling the lottery for the $15 billion plus liability to the state. Do you know where that is? Because we're talking about a 9.25. If the governor brings his forward, well, 1% will be 9.25. It'll be over 10%. Is that 1% in the state moving forward, or are they going to sell the lottery for the $15 billion deficit?
John Wickham with the CLA's office. That's still under consideration by the legislature in the budget process. There has been no formal word in the direction that that's going to go in.
But if that goes in,
that would add an additional 1% on whatever taxes are in front of the voters for the county. So it could go to 9, yeah.
close to 10%.
Close to 10%.
And is that the highest in the country, or is anyone higher than that?
I don't know. We could check that out.
What troubles me with this is that the voters are getting hit with additional taxes. We now have the trash recovery, the water and power rates went up, the phone tax was 10% to 9%, the $3 parcel tax, and then yet to be determined the state budget, which may be a 1% tax. my focus on this, and the people who've contacted me are fed up with taxes. And I don't think that you're going to get 2/3 of the voters to support a half cent, a quarter cent, or a cent tax. I'm not going to support it because I don't think it's realistic in this economic situation with foreclosures and all the economic dilemma that the state is facing, this country is facing. I just don't see it passing. And in good conscience, I had a constituent contact me that the $3 parcel tax, they said that is going to take money away from them buying milk for their family. And this is in addition to that. And then for LA County, so then if people want to purchase a product, they go to Ventura County or they go to Orange County, because I understand this is just for LA County. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So then people, if they want to make a large purchase, they go to another county and make the large purchase. And if the 1 cent sales tax comes in from the state, 1.5 cents between that and this, we're near 10% sales tax. And at this economic time, I can't support it. That's all I have.
Mr. Weiss?
And by the way, I have one more question. Is there a sunset clause on this? Does it sunset?
No.
30 years.
30 years? Oh, yeah, 30 years. Yeah.
So I'll be 91 years old then.
You're going to need some public transit?
And I'll probably need a wheelchair.
I'm just saying. All right. Tennessee's is the highest sales tax in the country. It's not 9.35 right now.
9.35?
Yeah. Louisiana's next.
Where are they at?
8.7.
So we're getting up there.
Okay, well, I would move approval. I think we have a no vote from Mr. Zine. Mr. Weiss?
A vote.
Okay, for the CLA report. I should
Just so
clarify what it says.
understand, this business of us doing a 1 cent or a $1 or a
It's a
$10 or what, we just,
It's the support legislation that would it's the support legislation, sorry, let me make sure. Oh, there's actually
There are two resolutions in
Let's do
front of
this
you.
separately, I misread that. On the half cent, you have a no vote as well, just on half cent?
I'm a half cent, a no on a half cent, no on a full.
Okay.
Either 1 cent or half cent, no.
Right.
I do need to clarify.
Yeah.
There are two
So
resolutions in
let's take
front of
three
you.
first, yeah, let's take three. That recommendation is just to support the half cent, right?
Not really.
Okay.
The resolution item number 3 is actually to urge Metro to consider putting a 3.5, or to put a 0.5% on. So since Metro is already actually considering it, it's already in front of them, the resolution in item 3 has already been accomplished.
I'm sorry, is that true? I mean, I thought they had a final vote there.
They do have a final vote, but the resolution here takes the first step of saying, we think you ought to think about this.
So we should change it to, we urge you
Support.
to support final.
Oh, it supports their effort to examine.
You see.
Right,
Okay,
okay,
so
right.
we urge you to put it on the ballot.
Right.
Yeah. So that was the question for clarification. Would you like to
Mr. Garcetti
We'll move-
and I
yeah.
wanted to
revise the
We'll
motion?
move forward to say that and to amend it to include the downtown streetcar. That's on the half cent with one no vote on
I got
that.
one more, I'm a no vote, but I have another question on this. Prop C, transit taxes from gasoline sales. Haven't those revenues gone up to help public transit with $4 and some cent gallon of gasoline?
I am not aware of that information, but I can provide that information to you after.
1C was a bond. It wasn't the gas tax.
Well, there is a gas tax.
There is a
That gas tax, we brought in more revenue from the gas tax because of the increased price of gasoline. Can you address that?
There's something called the spillover that is part of the gas tax. There's like a tax on the gas tax. And the governor's proposing to take all of it, basically.
Take all of that.
That.
But I'm saying, isn't there more money there now? Since
Well-
the gas prices have gone up?
Yes, the gas prices have gone up, so the state has made like $1 billion.
In revenue from the increased
From
gas.
this tax, yeah, because the gas prices have gone up. However, that money is been recommended by the governor to be diverted to other,
Help bail out the state budget.
Yes.
So they're only 14
because it's
billion.
unprotected money, so he can divert it to general fund purposes.
But there's also a provision for the governor and the legislature to take money away from cities and then repay it in 3 years.
From redevelopment agencies,
Yeah.
not from the cities, it's redevelopment funds. Prop 1A protects us from money
They
takes.
can take it, but they have to pay it back.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah, they can do that.
for
They can do that.
Prop
Prop
42.
1A.
That's
That's
for
also
Prop
been talked
42
about.
funds.
That's been considered.
Prop
too.
40, yeah, Prop 1A protects Prop 42 funds
But they can do a borrow and a payback, but in extraordinary
years.
circumstances.
with interest.
Yeah, with interest.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, so it will be a 2-1 vote on, as I expressed on 3. On 4, why don't you walk us through what you're recommending?
The office recommends that the city support legislation that would raise the cap for any additional Los Angeles County transaction and use taxes. And the office also recommends that the city consider the feasibility of increasing it to 1 cent once the tax cap has been lifted.
What's the point? I mean, what's the point? The discussion right now in policy circles is whether to do this half-cent thing or not. And there is, as we've seen today, there is resistance to doing that. And you all know better than I this business of the negotiations with folks in San Gabriel Valley and all that. I mean, what's the point of asking for, what's the point of asking for more and looking silly? But is there a point in doing that?
The idea in asking to raise the cap on the county would be to provide the opportunity for incremental growth in the future.
But shouldn't we just try to, I mean, I'll
Accomplish what we have now.
Chair.
Yeah.
And so do whatever you want, but my sense of it is, but again, I'll do whatever you want,
Yep.
is that there is this discussion that's going on now that's really serious, and why take sort of an outlying, sort of extreme position that would in any way make LA look less serious at this?
Yeah, I mean, I
Am
think,
missing something?
I think, I personally have questions about going to 1 cent, especially if it's just for Los Angeles County, for some of the reasons Mr. Zine pointed out. I think, talk to car dealers, and a lot would go just across the line to Orange County, a lot of our large purchases. It's another thing if we'd be proposing it for the entire state to do that, which, might hit counties on the Nevada border hard, but would have less of an impact on LA County. But this wouldn't happen in time to hit the November ballot either way. So it would be my impulse to hold this until it's even a possibility of being discussed, and to not confuse the two issues right now. While I understand the importance, I also believe a sales tax. Mr. Rosendahl is exactly right about how many dollars we need, but it's one of the more aggressive taxes we have, kind of very unfairly shared, hitting people with the milk and other things that they need to. Well, milk actually you wouldn't, but other things that you need to have as basic necessities. So I would move to hold this until a future date, in which, or to amend it to say, that this should be done statewide, but hold that until a time when we actually hear anybody doing that at the state legislature.
That's only another 0.5%. What the heck?
Mr. Zine's changing his mind.
Well, I'm not.
So if there's no objection I would. Well, we could do one of two things. We could forward it with a recommendation against, or we could hold it.
I think you're right to hold it.
So why don't we hold it until it's actually much more feasible? And I would like to amend it, if you concur, colleagues, just having not moving anything forward, that it should be a statewide thing where we do consider it in the future, not just LA County.
Yeah, I agree with
Okay.
that.
All
Let me
right.
ask a Metro a question.
Okay.
73% of the county residents surveyed said they'd support it. When was that taken? How many people surveyed?
There was, I believe, a polling done about 2 years ago, and then there was one done recently,
Well, how
like
recent?
last month.
Okay. Because things have changed in the last 2 years.
Yes, that's why they did focus groups, and they did another poll.
Has it gotten better since the
like
gas
in May.
price? Since the gas prices have gone up, is it
Yeah.
polling better?
Yes, people want public transit.
Well, they want public transit, but they don't have the funds to pay for it.
Yes.
So the 73% was 2 years ago?
No, that was recently in the.
How was it surveyed 2 years ago? What did it show?
I think there was 65, 60, around that
People have
range.
less money, they're willing to pay more taxes now.
Well, I think because more people want to use public transit and are feeling the crunch,
overall.
they feel like it's cheap, it's more
Could you-
beneficial.
if you have a summary of the survey, I think I've seen one in the past. Could you get one to Mr. Zine, just the kind of top line survey?
Yeah, I can get
summary?
one to everybody.
There's no question in my mind, more people using public transit. I went by Orange Line today, lot was almost full.
Mhm.
Normally, it's a quarter full.
Mhm.
So I know more people using it. The freeways are less congested.
Our ridership is definitely
The
up.
ridership is definitely increasing.
Mhm.
People are adjusting to that increase in.
Mhm.
But then again, they're paying for that. And if the rates go up for the public transit, that's additional cost to them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just a matter of dollars and cents. Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right. So that will be unanimous.
Yeah,
Keep it
Mr.
here.
Chair.
Yeah, sorry.
On item number 3, just clarification, would you like to include an instruction to the CLA to prepare a revised resolution to include the actions of the committee?
Sounds perfect. Thank you. So with that, I think I skipped number 5, if we can take that up.
Item number 5 is a CLA report relative to the city's position on S-2663, the Consumer Product Safety Commission Reform Act of 2008, which enables the safety of toys and other products by strengthening the Consumer Products Safety Commission with new resources and authority pursuant to resolution. Clay is here to answer your questions.
Good afternoon. Clay McCarter with the CLA's office. Before you is a resolution by Councilman Parks and Councilwoman Hahn that describes recent toy recalls and gives an example of their devastating effects on the children of America. It reports that the Consumer Product Safety Commission does not have the resources to adequately fulfill its mission of protecting Americans from products. As a solution, the resolution calls for support of Senate Bill 2663, the Consumer Product Safety Reform Act of 2008. S2663 increases the Consumer Product Safety Commission budget from $80 million in fiscal year 2008 to $155 million in fiscal year 2015. It hires 100 additional employees. It increases the penalties for non-compliant products. It bans lead in all children's products. It includes a whistleblower protection. It requires a database be established to document injuries, deaths, and risks related to products. And it requires manufacturers to label products with tracking information, which helps consumers identify if their products have been recalled. And finally, it amends the Commission's bylaws to create the Commission of 5 members instead of 2, and to allow for a 2-member quorum. In March, the Senate passed H.R. 4040 in lieu of this bill. The House and Senate are currently meeting in conference before sending the bill to the President, and the CLA recommends adoption of the resolution.
Okay. All in favor of safe toys?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. We will unanimously approve this report. Oh, I'm sorry.
Jim
Mr.
Clark
Clark,
from the Mayor's
come on
Office.
forward. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Jim Clark, Director of Federal Relations for the Mayor. Mr. Chairman and members of the Council, CLA's office got it right in terms of what they presented to you, but I think you should make a technical correction in your resolution because S2663 no longer exists as a bill.
Right.
It was incorporated into
4040.
HR 4040.
Okay.
So I would recommend that you, in presenting it to the Council, you present it as HR 4040.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is that in line with, that's all right?
Yeah, that's great.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you.
We will amend it to reflect that. All right, without objection, it'll be approved. Thank you. This meeting of the Rules and Government Committee is over.
Very nice, Mr. President.
50 minutes. Jim.
Yes.
Jim.